Hey guys, how are you doing? Welcome to Friendship Shaving for a little bit of a special shave I suppose today with a razor that I have never ever used before, and I've got it here. I bought a new old stock Gillette Techmatic, the cassette razor it says, and this is the type of razor that astronaut Michael Collins used on the Apollo 11 space mission, the first landing on the moon. So I've opened up the back a bit. That's torn, unfortunately. You can never get these type of razors out of this cardboard package without a little bit of destruction. There we are. It comes in this there we go, little plastic case, and there is the razor. Now this cost me £4.99 on eBay. It is a razor I've not used before, and I wanted to replicate that sort of first space mission and the shave that Michael Collins would have had in space with this razor. And actually he used on his mission some Old Spice brushless shaving cream. Now I haven't got that, but I have got some vintage Old Spice, so I'll be using that today with a little Byron Shaving Company brush with the rubber based handle. So we'll just get that wet. I'll rinse my face and we'll get this shave going, and I hope you're doing very well today. I love this soap, but of course astronaut in space would have just used the brushless shaving cream rubbed on and then the razor to take that off. Wouldn't have had any water to shave with, more likely just a towel to wipe the excess cream and hair from the razor. And that first razor that Michael Collins used is actually in a museum now, and I'll put the link to that so you can see the very razor that Michael Collins used on the first space mission, which was in 1969. This razor came out, shake that, approximately 1967 through to 74. I haven't seen any advertisements before 1967. The very early 70s there seemed to be a lot of advertisements, but I have seen one dated 1974 in France, so obviously it was still being produced and sold over there. In 1974, it's quite a curious looking razor. I think it was quite popular in its time. Instead of a razor blade, a double-edged razor blade, it goes back to a single edge, and it uses I've got here a super stainless steel band. Which one can wind on, much like a cassette, an old music cassette. It winds around two cogs that are present in the cartridge, and I'll show you and describe that a little more as we go along. I think that's quite a nice lather. we'll stick with that. Got some Old Spice aftershave today as well. Some of the old vintage Shilton aftershave. So here we are. This is the razor. It is an adjustable razor. Here is the adjustable button, so we can go low or high. It's not like going from number 1 to 9 on your Gillette Slim. It is a very narrow range, but nevertheless it is adjustable. As I said, the band, the stainless steel ribbon, that's the better word, moves across this part. There are two little cogs inside here, inside the cartridge, and you wind it on by this little lever here that does a complete circle to give you a fresh shave, fresh shaving edge. And there are, well, it says there number 5, so it'll go 4, 3, 2, 1. So there should be lots of shaves in this. It's in remarkable condition actually. Well, I shouldn't be surprised, I suppose, new old stock. It comprises of this cartridge, which I believe, if I press this little button, will come off. There we are. Now on the inside of here, I can get the light right, there's a Gillette logo just there. Now the American ones still had the Gillette date code on them, but this is a British version, doesn't seem to have that. And the idea was from Gillette that it would be their first sort of experimentation in getting to you to use a Gillette system razor. The Gillette handle, but you could only use it with the Gillette cartridge. There we are, and that clipped in very easily there. So here we have the Gillette Techmatic. I've always looked down upon this a little bit, but as I said, I believe it was quite popular. Do you know what? That's really nice. Already that's really, really nice. That surprised me. I don't know why it should surprise me. I mean, let's face it. If Gillette are going to put out a new razor, as they did back then, they want it to shave well. They're obviously not going to put out rubbish. But that does shave very, very nicely. I was expecting it to be a little rougher, being as it's just been sat on a shelf for very, very many years. So I've just turned that up a little bit. Two little notches there. Do you know what, guys? This is a very nice shave indeed. Now, of course, you will only get these cartridges as new old stock now, but as it was only £4.99, I really thought I would give it a go. I've been quite intrigued by these for a long time. I always remember seeing them when I was growing up, but of course I was too young to shave by then, and by the time I was shaving they were long gone from the shelves. So you know what, this is a nice shape. So the astronaut Michael Collins used this when he was up in space. Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin went down to land on the surface of the moon in the module Eagle, hence the phrase, the eagle has landed. And Michael Collins was left in the Columbia spacecraft to orbit the moon, and he did 30 orbits of the moon. While Neil and Buzz were down on the surface of the moon. So quite a fascinating bit of history. Of course, on the far side of the moon, it would have been out of radio contact completely. I've been reading about this. He said he was most concerned for the two fellows that were on the moon in case they had problems. And he would somehow have to try and take Columbia down to rescue them. And he was most concerned about something going wrong and being the only man to come back from the moon, which would have been terrible. But thankfully all went well. And of course, in space, you wouldn't want double-edged safety razor blades floating around. And in fact, Gillette made a big thing of that there was in their advertising, that you wouldn't have to handle a razor blade. As if during the sort of 60-odd years of Gillette history up to that day, anyone that used a double-edged razor blade only had 3 fingers left. You know, it was, they really made a big thing of it in the marketing. That you would never have to touch a blade, you would just put the cartridge in, or the cassette, and you were ready to go. Of course, Schick bought out, one of Gillette's competitors, Schick, brought out a very, very similar razor indeed at about the same time. Now, second pass, let me tell you, super, super smooth. Very lightweight, and I suppose that made it very sort of desirable as something to take in space. Or maybe not, as things are weightless in space, I don't know. But very smooth. I think getting the angle right. You know, it seems to, the handle seems to be quite out here, maybe 45 degrees. I've seen a couple of advertisements. One that was a print advert that advertises that the ribbon of steel is 1/3 of the thickness of a standard razor blade from that time. And another one, a TV advert, that says that it's half the thickness of a standard blade. So some variation there from Gillette themselves, but obviously it would have to be a thinner piece of steel for that ribbon to be able to wrap around the two little cogs there. Now it is a light razor, and I am aware that I have been pressing a little bit. Just a little. So I'm just going to turn this down back to the midway point for my final pass. Very easy to use, very lightweight, very manoeuvrable. Guys, it's a great shave. It really is. It's going to need a third pass, but with a bit more practice and maybe a higher level and against the grain. Don't forget I haven't gone against the grain on my neck yet. I may get away with a 2-pass shave with this. So another razor, you know guys that I love a bit of history, and this is yet another great bit of history from Gillette. Whether you like it or not, it was coming out at a time really that was signalling the end of the double-edged safety razor, and I moved towards a cartridge razor. But this is quite a fascinating little razor. Super mild, guys, on that mid setting, but I think it feels quite effective. I'm getting hardly any blade feel at all. I mean, really next to nothing. Got loads of slick soap on my face. It's quite interesting, isn't it? You know, it doesn't seem to have any rinse holes in it like you would have with a standard double-edged safety razor. Unless there's a gap there, maybe. Yes, there is. There's a very, very slight gap under there. Well, there we are. It's working quite well. Gillette Tech-Matic. Now, there was another Gillette Tech-Matic way back in the 40s. Gillette experimented with a cartridge-based double-edged safety razor, and they called it the Tech-Matic. A very beautiful looking razor. Only a few were ever produced, like literally a few. very rare. And I reused the name later on. Now I'm having such a mild shave, I'm having to stop myself there even though I've had 3 passes. Let's have a rinse, shall we? I wonder how well this dries and how much moisture gets inside the cassette itself. A very unusual style razor. I would say that's quite reminiscent of the early 70s, and I think that would have been called really modern at the time, a modern design. There we are, guys, that's my shave, my space shave, if you like. Oh, do you know, that's a fantastic shave, guys. Not quite a bare naked face, but very, very close indeed. Really nice shave. I'm quite impressed with this razor. Very close. Despite that mild feel of the blade, I've got a very close shave. Super. So here we go. Got some Old Spice aftershave from Shelton. We'll have a good whack of this. Oh, and it smells so beautiful, this aftershave. For gentlemen of my age, it certainly is an iconic scent. Absolutely lovely. So there we are, gents. I hope you enjoyed my little shave, and have for the next shave a new straight razor coming to me from a gentleman. So there we go, another one I've not ever used before. That one will be a straight razor. I hope you look forward to that. And I hope you've enjoyed this shave as much as I have. I would say if you find one of these on eBay, new old stock, for as cheap as this was, give it a go, guys. You might just be as surprised as I am. That's my shave. You look after yourselves, and I'll see you all very soon. All the best now. Bye-bye.